I see I'm live. I'm ready, raring to go. Welcome, everyone, to the Anarchy analysis series. If you don't know what's going on, we're VOD reviewing the entirety of the T1 versus JDG matchup. This should be pretty interesting for you guys. Because I'm, well, how you would say it, out of my fucking mind at the moment. I'm tired as all hell. I've had my big old cup of coffee, chilling, getting through all that, and you know, still haven't done much, but hey, it's better than nothing. So I've got about 20 cans of sugar in front of me to get me through tonight. Yeah, we might as well get into it straight away. T1 JDG winner, probably more than likely winning Worlds. If you didn't see it yesterday, we broke down the Weibo Gaming and BLG series, which was it was a series, wasn't it? We didn't break down any BLG wins directly from VODs, which is something that I regret doing. But we will be doing a couple of JDG games. Well, the one JDG game that was won. Anyway, draft time. Here we go. We start off, we already see two bans across the board, Poppy Ash from JDG, and T1 have removed the Rakan and the Nico. As it stands, these picks kind of are the top prios for both these two teams, which is kind of surprising to say the least. Now, JDG obviously banning the Ash because it's a double flex that Carrier and Guma can play. Javelin going to be removed out here by T1, which leaves Orianna, Azir, Maokai all up and available. If JDG don't ban one of them out, I think we'll probably see the Maokai ban more than anything. It's actually the Kalista. So essentially JDG are going to go try and get two big power picks. Probably Ori if it was left up. Azir and Maokai. Actually, you can drop Azir to your third pick. So you can realistically go Maokai and then your ADC, so Xayah, if you're feeling spicy. Or Rumble, I forget that's a pick. That's an option. Obviously, the cooking pot combination isn't available with the Javelin banned out, but you can obviously go for something a bit more spicy. Now, I do not like you locking in your mid lane here. I think it's a bit surprising if you do it in R1 and 2, like, considering the fact that the enemy team have shown Orianna, you could kind of honestly lock in the Maokai, lock in the Renata. Honestly, you could have locked in quite a few things here. I would honestly like to see Renata lock in for JDG in the next phase, purely because T1's comp, the Aatrox and Rel, really do struggle if they have to run through a considerable amount of AoE, and I'm not a big fan of Knaave picking up Vi. Vi has been one of these picks at this World Championships. Teams have kind of picked up during the main stage, but realistically speaking, it hasn't found that much success. 9 wins, 17 losses, a very low win rate on this champ. And I think you probably would have got more success on the Maokai here, even though it's considered quite... It's not as strong as its MSI, Power, or Prior in Spring, but it's still a very strong AD jungle pick that would probably provide more prio. And with what you're wanting to do, I think Maokai would have been a lot better for a kind of hot pot combination, because you can get the possibilities of multiple people rooted in a line, so it makes it easier for the equalizer. So as a whole, I think this is kind of a mis-execution by JDG. I mean, sure, you would have had triple AP in the top half, but that's why you don't lock in the Akali. You lock in maybe a Tristana or an AD pick in mid lane for Knight. As a whole, this draft for JDG kind of is... I don't like it too much, because the idea is to cook people alive and to kill them with a Rumble coming through. And the actual CC you have so far is single target with the Vi. Unless you get something with a lot of CC in your support role, which, considering the fact Nautilus and Renata are gone, this combo that JDG are locking in is very limited. And sure, Xayah probably has the most CC on everyone on JDG, which is kind of depressing to say right now. They're just being hard countered by T1. The reason it's a hard counter is Bard. If T1 are playing on the back end, you can obviously Tempered Fate yourself when the equalizer's dropped on your heads, so you essentially negate the burning. The single targetness of the Vi can be obviously negated by Tempered Fate. As a whole, Bard just hard counters a lot of what JDG want to do, and that's actually a nice pickup in support. You got multi AoE stunnage or knockups with the Alistar. You've got to weigh in with the headbutt, but you are kind of limited in only going forward. It's a similar sort of combo with Vi, who can only go forward, realistically speaking. And that's kind of an issue for JDG going into T1, who have what I would consider very well-rounded comp in terms of disengage, with the fact that you can obviously use the extra world ender speed. You've got the Rel, who probably would sack in order to peel. The Bard, very good at getting people out with the magical journey. And then you've got just the long rangeness of this comp with the Jhin and Ori, able to play quite far back comparative to the rest of the team. So as a whole, this T1 comp I like a lot. You've got sustain, you've got a lot of power into the late game, and sure, Jhin isn't a premier ADC anymore. He's kind of fallen off. But yeah, essentially, the comp that T1 have isn't really reliant on Gumayusi to put out too much damage in the early stages of the game. Obviously, you kind of want to get the crits built up into this Jhin build so that your fourth shot is an absolute menace. You have so much speed with the Storm Razor now that, as a whole, this comp for T1 just want to run at you when you have no escape. And as a whole, I would say draft was very easily won by T1. I genuinely think that this is kind of a misdraft from JDG, considering the fact that you rely on an Alistar for your CC, which can be quite easy to mess up. Headbutt Pulverize, while simplistic in paper and in action, it's sometimes very easy to mess up. And teams sometimes will do that. Now, don't get me wrong, missing phenomenal support, JDG clearly would not be in the position they are on the Golden Road if he was a bad support, because they would have been punished quite a lot. However, here, you're going into T1. The wacky, zany T1. The bot lane that will pick whatever they feel like. And that is something teams don't realize, is we're actually already seeing an early invade. This is kind of huge from T1, as Zeus just stopping 369 from getting vision. That's kind of huge for T1. It means that the Rel start is unknown, and due to the fact that she essentially once spotted going to steal it, and it was kind of given away she once spotted due to the fact 369 was playing that far up. It's a very good position for the Rel to obviously full clear the enemy jungle. Now, whether or not Knaave is smart enough to notice that his jungle has been stolen away, only time will tell, but considering the fact there was no vision placed by JDG, the only ward was dropped like as 369 left the jungle upriver. And that's an issue because he's playing very far forward. So this path isn't going to be spotted. The Rel remounts. Going to get the knock up into the air. Up she goes. There's the Q stun. 369. He's burning through the health bar, but the aftershock keeps Owner and Zeus alive. It's first blood to T1 in the top lane. And that was a very clean gank from essentially the jungle top combo for T1. They played in tandem there quite well as Faker. He sees Knaave trying to steal away the Raptors. He's just being a nuisance, slowing the clear. It's allowed for Owner to get a full reset and can actually contest these Raptors, and he's not going to lose out on a lot. Sure, his top half jungle is still up, and Knaave could quite easily roam to it, but look at Carrier. This Mad Lad support, he's just marking him and not allowing him to get into this side of the map. Owner now, because of the fact that Carrier marked his opponent, it essentially allows him to go up and play aggressive even more, because obviously assist gold in favor of Owner. It means that he's going to be ahead in items because the Vi hasn't taken it back, but here it's just clean. The Rel remount, perfectly timed so that he gets the full extent of the charge, and it allows him to close the distance as Zeus gets into the play. It was a clean, easy dive. There wasn't really any issue. The pathing was pretty clean, crisp. He avoided all the vision, the one ward that JDG had placed down at the time. And as it stands, that one kill separates JDG and T1. And it's, while not led to a massive CS lead in the top lane, Zeus is still hitting like a truck and securing push. Now, yes, push obviously is a substantial thing, and you realistically only have push when the enemy's kind of forced to play more defensive, and the fact that you've obviously just killed them, and you're already starting to build up your resistances. You do a bit more damage with the Doran's Blade in your inventory. It's going to be quite hard for 369 to play this lane. Plus the fact that 369 isn't running teleport, it means that he doesn't have the capabilities to just all-out aggressive trade. Don't get me wrong, in solo queue, chances are you would go all-out aggressive trading on the Rumble in the 1v1. But in pro play, you play with a little bit more respect. You play not as aggressive due to the fact that you're in the literal world semi-finals. You play with a bit more caution due to the fact that you kind of don't want to be the cause for your team losing. It's a mentality thing more than an actual skill thing. And sure, 369 considered the best top laner in the world this year, I would say. Probably in the history of League, to be honest, at this stage. But at the moment, he's considered the best top laner in the world because he knows how to play lanes and play them effectively. And I jinxed myself there, didn't I? Unknowing of the story. I was trying to say he knows how to play lanes effectively as he's gone Oblivion Orb early. That's the yikes. Clearly, I mean, you'd want to go burst in this game. As top side, yeah, Zeus just controls the lane better. It's just an easy Q stack. Once you land the ethereal chains, you just get the kill. And boy, does Zeus know it as, yeah. Unfortunate there. Just not respecting how much damage the Aatrox is doing at this stage is kind of an issue. As Magical Journey using the bot lane as Faker forced a shockwave. Knight getting aggressive as bot side. The curtain call has opened and the Bard almost tagging with the Q. If that would have landed, that probably would have been a dead bird. As Ruler very low, forced to heal up with the pots. As action across the rift is happening. Owner stealing away the Raptors. Possibly will get that as bot side. Ooh, missing. Goes aggressive, but the Magical Journey yet again being the safety tool T1 need in order to get out alive. Gonna be brutally honest with you guys, this game is one of the weirdest I'm watching right now at Worlds, Reason is it's, like, unexpected that T1 are doing this well in the early game. And we're, well, I'd say about 6 minutes in when Zeus got his second kill. And it's surprising that the top side of the map is where the advantage is coming from. Because 369, as I said, is a solid top laner. He's known for his own because it's so defensive. And he doesn't get punished as hard as other players would on that champion. So playing this aggressive carry top in a losing state is not a good thing. Considering the fact you'd probably expect him to self-right the ship and be a bit more safe. Now, the reason I was saying that the Oblivion Orb is a bit of a yikes is because it's realistically, at this stage of the game, only to deal with the Aatrox. And it's not the heavy burst you need for grouping around Herald. It's more so a solo lane kind of effective stuff. So, with the fact that Zeus is grouping up as the Temper Fate is going to be used, the crash down is massive as the Magnet Storm pulls all of JDG in. But the fight continues on as it's a 1-for-1 trade as the junglers both fall. But 369, he finds the kill onto his lane opponent. But T1, they're opening the curtains. They're chasing down JDG as a double kill comes through for Gumayusi. Faker also picks up one. And that is a massive teamfight win for T1. Sure, they give over the Herald, but they find the kills to open up the rift to allow them to pressure onto these towers, regardless of if the Herald was gathered. But here, as it starts, it's a massive 3-man Temper Fate. Sure, it kind of makes the Aatrox Q3 useless, but it still sets up for so much damage as Magnet Storm pulls them in to deal with the Jhin firing in the Qs. The Bard auto attacks are really effective right now. This shot is perfect out from Gumayusi to get the double. And then it's Bard doing Bard things, getting the Q down, stunning into the wall at night, and essentially getting T1 a massive kill as we return back to life. Knaave hiding in the top lane. Ready to go in. We're waiting for the Q3. That should usually be the spell for him to go aggressive. As there goes the Vi, getting on top of Zeus. He dashes back, but the Flame Spitter burns through his health bar. And Knaave gets paid. And this should be Herald being dropped. I think 369. He's obviously slightly behind in this matchup. It's actually, I didn't realize Knight picked up the Herald. So, it's a bit unfortunate. 369 unable to get paid. And considering he is quite far behind, I would say, in this matchup. As Ruler forced to take away the Gromp there. Bit of a surprise, because Knaave, he's losing out in his bottom side of the map. His jungle almost being stolen by T1. Now, slowing it down. We get to talk about the answer to this game. First item picked up in the jungle and in the bot lane as Stormrazor for Jhin, as expected. Hexdrake on the map. JDG looking to continue that stack up of the objective. They'll get this one quite easily. As Owner, never mind, TP's coming in from T1. They're looking to fight as a crash down comes through and he steals away the Drake. Owner getting paid as the curtains open up. And down goes Knaave. The Temper Fate dodged out by missing, but he's hit by the bar Q. The equalizer dropped. And that's going to force T1 to disengage. The TP top by Knight. He's looking to get a push in as his counterpart 369 gets caught, but never mind. Owner, he steps too far forward to crash down to provide a bit of extra shielding, but 369's there. He's able to stand where he wants. The Magnet Storm comes through. The Shockwave finds two. Carrier and Faker trading in, going aggressive. 369 gonna burn down to Carrier, and it's a double kill over to T1 just like that. It looked like Owner got caught, but in the end, it was a massive bait that led to T1 getting more kills. Simple as that, and easy as can be. T1, they're getting all the kills, but they're not getting the objectives. Actually, never mind. They get one here. They steal away this Hex Drake, which is huge in terms of the game. They stop the stack that JDG was starting to form. The curtain call perfect with the Q2 out from Zeus. It allows for an easy execution of the Vi. The C equalizer being dropped. It dissuades the advancement at first initially for T1, but Owner, he's a curious boy. He steps forward and gets ran down by 3 members of JDG. And that shockwave was huge. It was good timing by Ruler to avoid it with the Feather Storm, because that would have certainly been Faker's shockwave finding them all kind of moment there in 2023 of all times. But that was clean and crisp as you like. As Carrier going back to live, he's hovering topside, waiting for 369 to show on wave. He's going to go aggressive. Tempered Fate comes out. It's going to land 369 in a world of trouble. The Q2 going to come through and kill off 369. That was a clean execution from T1, as it's no longer the jungler needed to make these ganks. The Bard is unleashed onto the map, and he is aggressive and very calculated in his plays. Honestly, I'm actually surprised as Ruler. Gonna dodge out on the Magnet Storm. The feathers being pulled back will not get T1 rooted under the tower. But as I've said, I'm actually surprised. Herald was dropped early, and Carrier wasn't in position to get the dirtiest of routes. You know the route where you essentially drop the Temper Fate on your tower to negate the Herald charge. I'm actually surprised. I just realized my camera's frozen. That's that must have only just happened. So give me a minute. Boom, bing, bop. It's weird. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Hopefully this time it's one of them times it does work. Weirdly, it's not being detected. Even though I know it's plugged in. Let me just re-plug it in. But yeah, this game as a whole, as it stands, it's T1 opening up the kill scores, which is leading them to picking up mass advantages versus JDG. And why am I so bright? So awkward. Let me just drop it down. There we go. Boom. Okay, so this game is kind of weird, to be honest. I'm gonna say it because T1, as it stands, leading in kills and doing quite well in that regard. My webcam really hates me. There we go. But yeah, it feels like JDG are controlling objectives a lot better than T1. Even though that lane economy shows T1 firmly in control, it is kind of surprising, but hey. First items, almost complete across the board. The only place where they're not is in the support role as bot side. That's Canave trying to make a play on the opposite side of the map. He was spotted on vision, which means T1 get to play a bit more aggressive topside. They secure the Herald, and Owner continues to surmount his push to keep the pressure on. JDG not really able to respond. They're down about 3.9k comparative to their opponents. T1 just able to set up. I think one of the biggest and most impressive things about T1's comp is how far away they can actually tag someone up. You don't realize this, but the Tempered Fate plus I've forgotten what the Jin W is called, but essentially that from long range is able to just keep someone rooted in place if timed correctly, And JDG really have no way to avoid it. As Knaave trying to get onto carrier. Going to be forced a little bit back here. As the curtain call is open up. Knaave on the run. He gets tagged by the bar Q and he's rooted in place. Jumps over the wall with his Q. But the ignite used there by carrier is not going to be available for this next objective. It's not that big of a deal. But as we continue forward, this Herald dropped in the mid lane. This could be honestly T1's way to get this Drake. No one from JDG are responding just yet. As the tower in the mid lane falls, the Herald's going to get a second charge. It's going to go into this tier 2 tower. That's mass amounts of damage put down as Zeus. Hiding on the flank. Knaave though, forced back. JDG, they're playing kind of awkwardly as carrier. He's just stepping forward. This Bard, unrivaled as ruler, goes through the portal. He puts himself in such a bad position as Zeus was in the area, as flashing over the wall goes the Aatrox. It pulls Knaave under the tower. What are JDG doing? They're diving. The jungler, the Vi, almost dead as carrier forced the portal out. The magical journey forcing JDG into a bad situation as Orianna does the work. Faker finds the fight, and this is JDG. They're trying to kill off T1. The health bars are incredibly low, but look at this combination out from Gumayusi and from Ona. They're able to lock in place Knight, and Faker, he's on the prowl. He sees the kills. The Ori ball dropped down. He's hunting. He's looking. But watch for this Alistar. The root comes through, and this is T1. They're playing with their food. They get the kill onto missing, and Ruler, he does nothing. It's Knight, never mind. Knight does nothing as Gumayusi shoots him down. What a fight from T1. It looked dire. I'm gonna say it. It looked weird, to be honest, because at this position, Ruler looks dead because he's going headfirst into the Aatrox. He's forced a Featherstorm, and then it's the collapse from JDG, and this looks scary. A massive Temper Fate actually stops Knight from getting involved in this kill. And while the great flash out there from Zeus pulls Knaave in the tower, that's an incredible Magnet Storm plus Shockwave combination from Ona and Faker to secure a couple of kills there for T1. And that made this fight look incredibly close, as in the top half of the fight, it's just Faker killing off Ruler in the isolated 1v1. And then this chase down, pretty simple. Ori using the ball to keep JDG away, and then that tag there, rooting Knight in place, kind of forces him into fighting, and then he tries to kill Gumayusi, but he just does not have enough damage at this stage of the game to get the kill. And as such, essentially, everyone on T1 get paid, and they get a lot of pressure put down onto this map. As it stands, the only outer turret remaining is in this bot lane, and looking at how T1 are positioning, the fact that Zeus and Carrier are down here, with Ona starting to path down, could be where we see a possible aggression out from T1 onto the map. As, let's be honest, right now, captive audience, isn't it? Deadly Flourish, I remember the ability name. God, I haven't seen Jhin in a long time, and I used to remember that name. But as it stands, T1 going aggressive, trying to get onto missing the Q tags up this Alistar, who's forced to wall, but the curtains come through, the Shockwave lands, and that's a dead cow as T1, they're eating steak tonight after securing that big kill. Now Baron up on the table. Will we see T1 path over there? They're actually content with how this is right now, because Zeus is just pushing unmanned in the bot lane. As that's Knight stunned in place, Crashdown comes on top of him. That Magnet Storm pulls Knaave into a bit of a deadly situation as Temper Fate comes through. Unfortunately, Gumayusi is not hit by the status, and he is burnt to a crisp. Now T1 though are looking to continue to fight as the Bard picks up another kill for himself. The cow respawns and he's back into this one, but already chunked below a half of his HP. Knight once again forced to run away using the Shroud to get himself some distance from T1. And now, this game, it's getting closer. These fights looking more and more in favor of JDG. They traded jungler for mid laner in a 4v5. That was a huge fight there for JDG. Is here. Knight initially is caught out by the Deadly Flourish and Bard combination. Then it's Knavi, kind of forced into the fight. The Magnet Storm pulls him in, so T1 were going to be constant firing. And then, amazing stun coming out from Ruler, the Blade Caller, finding its man, and that's just T1 then cleaning up the fight. Ruler actually gets incredibly low there. Probably would have been the person who advanced to try and kill him probably would have been headbutted away. But damn. That's a pretty close fight. That really could have gone in either way, as T1, they're playing very aggressive here. It's only 2 members showing. Actually, it's 3, because Zeus is in the top lane that would have been able to obviously respond to that play. But all of JDG were hovering. They could have honestly have gone for the kind of aggressive maneuver there onto T1. But Owner and Zeus stepping forward. 3 members of JDG hovering, waiting, ready to kill, to pounce onto anyone who missteps forward. Granted, T1 not going to be in that sort of position, as Owner nearly finds the enemy in that brush. It's able to obviously get away, is the JDG player. As such, the possibilities of play here as the flash comes out is forced from missing there, to be honest, as he has to evade the crash down from this Rel as Faker starts up the Baron. T1 on the objective. JDG well aware this one's happening. But Knavi, his position is marked. T1 hunting the jungler of JDG. They're looking for kills. The Temper Fate finds the enemy jungler, and that should be a dead Knavi. The curtain call opens up as the Feather Storm thrown out. The Shockwave finds its mark. That's a 3-man ultimate, and JDG are crumbling as T1 slay them in their own jungle. A triple kill for the top laner, and Zeus is alive and well in this game. He was almost camped in the early game, but he turns it around. He kills his opponent several times. And now, T1, the victory march for Game 1 is ensuing. They're onto the Nexus Towers. And that game, honestly, was so clean. They gave over no kills to the JDG bot lane, which resulted in a massive win here. Game, never mind, they've just given over the kill. God damn it, Carrier. But yeah, Game 1, clean as you like, goes over to T1. What more needs to be said then? That was a snowball, bruv. Anyway, we need to look at Game 2 now. And I've got a bit more coffee to drink. It's cold. Yeah. Not nice. But yeah, Game 1. Simple. Clean League of Legends. The late game. Honestly, the team fighting and the comp just outmatched JDG. Like, I was saying the buy realistically can't do much compared to, say, a Maokai, where you can play a bit further back and use the Nature's Grasp to advance your way forward. Here, JDG were in a bit of a rut as they couldn't realistically do much in the game. But let's get into Game 2. JDG go to blue, T1 on red. Let's see how this one goes as 2 bans already through again. Rakan banned out by T1 yet again. Rumble this time removed by JDG as well as the Poppy. Nico off the board. Does this mean that we'll see a Jarvan ban? That kind of raises prio here in terms of bans, even though the Hotbot Hot Pot combination is no longer available. Akali removed by JDG. That's not something we've seen Faker play at this Worlds. He's only played 3 champions, by the way. And it's Orianna, Azir, and it's his Sylas. So JDG kind of forcing Faker to play his Azir here, or Sylas, because I already know he only plays them 3 champions. As Akali removed last, and so is a Jarvan from T1 side. Ori first pick does mean we could kind of see a combination with the Maokai on T1 side, as they just dropped the Caitlyn Ashe. Obviously, game 1, JDG removed the Ashe from the pick ban phase. So, as it stands, they T1 go straight for this pick. And, oh boy, it's going to be respond properly with that Kalista of all things. Even though I still hate Kalista's being picked into Ashe. It just counterpicks yourself quite heavily. Now, I hope we see a aggressive, like, support. More so an engage heavy one. Because as it stands, Nautilus is up and available. I would very much like to see a Nautilus paired with this Kalista. Purely because you're then able to utilize a bit more with this Vi that's somehow always coming through. Which means that Naut is actually probably going to hit the ban list and get the second rotation. There you go. T1, Faker picks up his Azir like normal. He's only got 3 champions at this World Championship. Doesn't need to diversify his pool too much out of them 3. As JDG, that's first ban of the second phase. Probably will be into the jungle pool. Or the top lane. Neither top laner has been locked in. And with the Gwen ban coming through, that kind of leads me to believe that JDG probably will try to aim for the Aatrox. There's already a long range champion, so Jace maybe? Jace obviously more synonymous with the mid lane now than top. Well, more so for Eastern teams, JDG in the mid lane. But as it stands, Gwen, Rel removed out of the pool by JDG. The 2 hooky boys that usually get paired with this Kalista removed by T1. And yeah, this does leave open some good picks for the top side. Aatrox still up and available. The tree is up and available. I like that a lot. We were saying in game 1, the tree could have been a very impactful pick if JDG went for it. Instead, they went for this Vi, and it didn't find that much impact. It kind of forced him into over-aggressive plays that took pretty much all of the Vi's health bar and didn't allow him to contest objectives. That is kind of the huge thing that you have to deal with as a Vi player, is the extent of the opponent's escape, as K'Sante Senna is the last pickups for JDG. That's a safe blind pick top. Simple as that. Going to be going into the Aatrox, I think. Or you hope. Because that's 2 top laners. Similar sort of goal. You just stack Qs on the opponent and just sustain through all that damage and do pretty much nothing all game until it comes to late game fights where you just kill everyone. That's essentially both these champs. And oh boy, these 2 drafts looking on paper, it's weird because I'm intrigued to know if Ruler will put his Dark Spear onto the Vi instead of the Senna. Because the Senna, realistically, if she's thrown in, that negates the effectiveness of the champion. Because Senna is a champion that gains attack range as she hits more souls. So putting the face call onto her compared to a Vi just makes very little sense to me if JDG do that. However, obviously, it is a safety tool as well if you think about it, because you can reposition quite well with it. That's the other reason why you would put it onto the center. But personally, I would like to see it placed onto Knavi instead of onto missing. Even if you do lose out on your lane trading in terms of strength at level 6, it's still a little bit better as well. That was a weird graphic glitch. But as we get onto the rift for game number 2, taking a quick look at the items, bit of a surprise start. Not going for a Dawn's Blade or a cool Is That Callista, just a straight longsword. Usually is a weird start, to be honest. Obviously, Doran's items do have extra strength at this World Championship, thanks to the buff on this patch. So, as it stands, they're pretty good to go from. That's why we see them so often. Plus, they're really just good value for money in terms of the stat boost you get from them. So, as it starts up, T1 early invading yet again. This time they're bringing 4 members down. JDG matching. They've got 4 people down here as well. Missing going to be spotted entering this brush. T1 though. Threaded volley. It misses everyone. And that's actually a bit of a misplay. This carrier taken incredibly low. Faker trading back with the Sand Soldiers. Heal pop there by the center. T1, they're being corralled quite awkwardly here. It's a 5v5 in the bot lane. Already, the fighting begins. Missing taken incredibly low on the top half of the fight. Casante's trending into the Aatrox, but the flash forward coming is Owner. He gets first blood for himself, but T1, they pick up 2 kills here. They get paid, and the camp, I don't know who got all the CS there. It's actually going to be Owner who gets paid, and Azir and Caitlyn. T1 come out on top in this early game, even though, realistically speaking, they could be in a bit of a different... They could be quite far behind in terms of how this other game played, because that was playing on the edge. I thought their carrier had overstepped way too much. He only landed his W onto one target, and that was Ruler. And he still stepped forward. But here, this is just Owner saying, screw it. I see a low health bar. I'm getting on top of them as the flash forward comes through. And boom. Bramble Smash secures first blood. It was very close in terms of first blood, in terms of who got it. But it went over to T1. And they're certainly happy with how that fight played for them. So, looking at the lanes as it stands. Mid lane, being pushed in by Faker. Obviously, had the assist gold. I don't know if he reset. I presume he did. So he's got probably an extra pot in his inventory after getting an assist. Bot side, push is a go as Cassante 369 proxying the wave. Kind of surprising to see this at level 4 now for the Cassante. He has put Owner behind quite considerably at this stage of the game, considering the fact he's only just ticked over to level 4. Wonder how that has actually happened. But Navi's clear. Is going to be spotted. In fact, the red buff being stolen away yet again by Owner. This time, it's not going to go through as Navi denies that steal this time. Game 1, this Maokai, well, it wasn't a Maokai in game 1, but what is this proxy? I'm sorry, this just defeats all my points. This is called, essentially, we know your jungler is in the bot lane, so we go make plays topside and proxy farm you. That's essentially what's happening as bot side. Cleanse forced out of Ruler, taken incredibly low. One more auto will do it, and Carrier flashes to get the kill. It's going to be a 1, maybe, or 1-for-1 trade. It's certainly going to be a 2-for-1 trade at this stage of the game as Carrier gets flashed upon by Knave. This Vi, she's hunting and bloodthirsty this game. And Knave stepping up here in game number 2. It's a pity this didn't happen in game 1, where JDG were just bullied in lane. Here in game 2, he's stepping up. He's providing the safety for his bot lane. And honestly, I'm surprised 369 didn't stay proxy farming a little bit longer. Now, the big difference in that top lane compared to game 1 is the fact that 369 is actually running teleport. As game 1, he was running Ignite. As bot side play here, Ruler force a flash early. It's just T1 chasing. They burn both the summoners out from this Callista. See how low he is and just get the kill. It's then just an overstay by T1. They overchase to get the kill. The barrier times out on Carrier. That allows for the double kill to come through for the Vi. He realizes that was a yikes play overall, as Knave possibly was looking for a steal of a couple of camps there. Coming back from T1 side of the map, JDG actually sitting quite nicely in game number 2 here, as they've kind of equalized the early gold that T1 picked up for themselves off of the first blood and the extra kill they got. As Ruler, no flash, no cleanse, not going to be caught out this time. He's able to jump away to the safety of his tower. T1 looking to force her in the spot side of the map. Well, I would say that's kind of depressing for JDG. They're still slightly surviving, and the fact that the previous dive that came through from Owner was negated quite well, with the fact that the Vi got paid off of it, able to translate some of that gold up to the rest of the map. As I'm just looking at the inventories so far, 369 has an affinity with an early Grievous Wounds item. It's Bramble Vest picked up this time, and not the Oblivion Orb. It is weird to say, or to see here on the world stage, instead of a full, I don't know, item that would be effective into the Caitlyn and Ashe late game. So a Frozen Heart wouldn't be terrible. But that's more so a late game item. I would honestly preferred him to rush the Mythic instead of going Bramble Vest. That's just me. So what's he gonna pick up here? Oh, he didn't back. So presumably he's gonna pick up a Negatron Cloak. Sorry, no Magic Mantle. I always get my items mixed up. Essentially, this stage of the game, the Cassante probably will build a bit more armor to deal with the Aatrox, even though I expect him to rush for Jack Shao, maybe? Or Iceborne Gauntlet is the typical Cassante mythic, isn't it? Now, don't get me wrong, this Aatrox will pack a punch, and with the World Ender active, will heal and sustain through a fight quite effectively. I am kind of surprised to see a serrated Dirk start for this Aatrox. I think Gordrinker has found a lot of success. I'm actually going to check that, don't get me wrong. But looking at it, comparative to other champions, it is one of them weird ones where it has got multiple builds that are effective. But yeah, let me just pop it open. GOL does work for me. There we go. But back to live. World Ender is used. 369 trading aggressive as he went all out. Nave in the area looking to dive to Aatrox. The Q2 comes through from Zeus, and that dissuades this dive as bot side. It's the Caitlyn Ashley. They have constant push. Owner spotted on a ward, so his path is known. JDG forced to play a bit more defensive here in the bot lane, as they realistically don't want to give any kills over. The good thing for them though is Knave pathing down here, looking to protect his bot lane, who are kind of being bullied quite a lot here as Zeus. Just do it to him. Boop him. There you go. Deny the back. Q3 isn't going to do too much damage. It didn't hit the sweet spot, and I've got my Aatrox. Wow, it's actually lethality. It's Dustplate builds. There was a few. In fact, it is 369 who does build the Gore Drinker build over this Dustplate build that Zeus goes for. Zeus builds mainly lethality, which is a surprise to me compared to the rest of them. Yeah, Zeus is the only one who builds lethality because he did it against LNG as well. Bit surprising to say the least, because you are sacrificing a lot of the sustain that you want to go for, which I kind of understand. Obviously, if 369 is constantly rushing Grievous Wounds, going for a build that isn't reliant on healing kind of makes a bit more sense. So, away we go. This does beg the question, why does he continue to buy it? Because he would have seen the build over the past 2 games. And now the fact that he sees a serrated Dirk in his inventory, you should pretty obviously assume he isn't building the sustain of Aatrox build, he's just building all out damage. But as it stands, JDG forcing the Herald mid, as Faker forces the flash out from Knave. The Emperor's Divide is on cooldown now for that, which could be a difference maker, as T1 want to set up on this bottom half of the rift. They see that Drake spawning in 2 minutes is a perfect opportunity to kind of force JDG into an awkward fight, to say the least, because looking at the abilities and the cooldowns early, you kind of have to favor what T1 bring to the table, the amount of CC. Speaking of CC, here comes the Nature's Grass. Aegis in the hole, also used. A T1 stepping forward, going aggressive. Zeus is on the flank. He's got on top of a ruler who's forced to flash away to face call. And the arrow go wide. But T1, they're losing members, as that's going to be Carrier trading the kills. Knave and Owner both down, as the junglers hit the bench for a few minutes, as they just fall. Now, while this is all happening, 369 is just free farming in the top lane, as you do. The enemy team TP'd down. That's fine. I'll just get a load of turret plates for myself. Now I'm just going to stop you from advancing into your lane, and look at Zeus. He knows Owner is waiting for him. And that's going to mean that he's kind of forced into an awkward situation where the minions all die to that tower. But here, this was a calculated play from T1 from the beginning. They were looking from this very early on, as Ruler essentially just gets jumped on Zeus on the flank, and that's both the summoners out from the JDG bot lane. Knight was able to pick off Owner with the Orianna damage, and what do you know, T1, they trade 1 for 1, both junglers down, and it's unfortunate the kill went over to Carrier on T1 side of things, as I'm going to be brutally honest, you kind of would love that onto your Caitlyn or your Azir. Faker only sits with 2 assists, and he really needs some kills in his back pocket. Now, typically speaking. I would honestly try, if I was T1, to force a fight here around this Drake. It's your second one of the game. Your bot lane is well ahead. You do have your ultis ready to unload this time as well. Whereas JDG, you are going to be missing, I assume you're missing the center ult, but it looks like it's off cooldown. But T1, they get the Drake uncontested. Meanwhile, 369 secures the push in the top side. He's able to pick up first turret for himself and get quite a lot of gold into his back pocket. And this Cassante, while I don't rate the build as bot side, that's going to be the cease and desist forward to Shockwave flashed out from by T1 as that Empress Divide pushes away JDG. Faker gets out alive, and they don't get paid in the bot side for JDG. T1, they managed to get away with essentially murder. And JDG, what do they get out of it? Nothing. Simply put, they probably just get the flash out from Faker. And that is not the best thing, considering the fact that he doesn't need it for another 3 minutes. Sure, Herald's a nice prize to fight for, but T1, they haven't really focused this objective throughout this game. They've kind of been focused on these Drakes, and it's surprising that they're able to just steal this one away. JDG slow to rotate to the objective. Obviously, they tried to force onto Faker, who is playing with a bit of fire right now, quite far forward, unaware that Canave in 369, he is going to be aware now thanks to that blue trinket, but he was unaware of where the JDG top and jungle were lurking. As such, he's going to check his jungle. That actually is quite smart play, to be honest, by T1's mid laner. Asharo goes wide. Carrier is hunting. And this is the sort of Ashe play I like. Use the ult on cooldown. Force the enemies to make mistakes into bad situations. And with that, Herald drop down the Ashe arrow will buy time as it allows for the crash to come through. Nature's Grasp also used and utilized by T1 to disengage. And that means that this play coming out from JDG kind of mitigated the ace in the hole. Gonna do quite a bit of damage to this Vi. Is able to heal up off these camps that she has available. If she has any available. The only one she's got is them Krugs. So gonna have to heal up off them. But T1, they're lurking, they're hunting for a possible kill, for a fight to say the least. As they continue to put pressure into this mid lane due to the fact that there's no one on JDG able to respond. Now, was that Zeus trying to proxy farm? I presume not, because the wave was nowhere near. But T1, at this stage of the game, they were pretty much on the victory march in Game 1. Here in Game 2, it's certainly a lot closer. JDG have done a lot of work here to kind of surmount control of this game. And with the scaling they have as Canave jumps on top of Ona, not going to force any summoners out just like that. And instead, it's going to be JDG just getting control back into this river. T1 have had a lot of time down here on the bottom side of the map. And with the Drake spawning in a minute's time, they kind of want to get that big objective for themselves. So, vision was being cleared out. T1 unawares of where JDG are. They're trying to hide, get in position to make a play. But look how far back Zeus is playing. He's respectful of where JDG can be. T1 are positioned on the top side of Rift, which is kind of hinting to me that they're giving up this next objective, this third Drake Soul Point if they would like it. Now I say that they are starting to walk down here. Over vision. JDG well aware of where T1 are. Will we see a big gargantuan fight as all 5 members making their way to the bot side of the rift on either side? Zir turret in the mid lane. Faker killing the wave, forcing a continual push of minions into the tier 2 tower. Senna using her shroud to get JDG repositioned in time. As that's the enchanted crystal arrow used as a twisted advance pulls Owner all the way to his own demise. He gets slain off as Knavi stays alive. The re-engage comes through as a shockwave, pulls Zeus into his own death. Ruler is going to be able to pick that one up as Carrier. He's trading aggressive. The slows are doing work, but JDG, they pick up 2 kills for absolutely nothing. And they look to corral T1 away from this objective. No jungler for T1 means they've got really no way to contest this objective. TP's invested here by Knight, able to secure this tier 1 in the mid lane as Faker, he sees Knavi, he sees Knight, isn't going to be caught out, instead forced to dash away to safety. T1, they lose out on Soul Point due to an excellent execution by JDG around this objective. At first, it looks promising. The Ash Arrow, it tags onto the Vi, the perfect target. But the issue is, Vi is able to flash, and it pulls the Maokai so goddamn far into JDG. It means he's doomed to fall, regardless of if he flashes, because the Rend would have killed him either way. Now JDG get to play a bit more on the front foot, sitting with a 3k gold lead. Items realistically are about the same across the board, as the only difference I would say is the fact that there's literally 2 completed items on this Vi compared to the 1 on this Maokai. Other than that, items are pretty similar sort of value, and I think basically the gold lead sits on Knavi. 3-2-2, a complete turnaround from his game 1 performance. He's set his team up well here, and he's certainly allowing them to execute fights perfectly. Sure, he has to be the frontliner, the guy to step forward for his team, considering it's only him and Cassante that can really frontline. But as it stands, he's doing his job effectively and not realistically allowing T1 any form of reprieve, which is a bit of a difference from game 1. Now, I've said this already, but why is he able to play this aggressive compared to what he was in game 1? Well, game 1, the name of the game was to get onto Gumayushi to allow for your Rumble to burn through the health bar. That was how you played game 1. And game 2, it's a lot different. You don't have to deal with the equalizer. As it stands, all that this Vi needs to do is frontline and catch out any target on T1. There isn't really that same sort of threat that T1 had in game 1. They don't have to deal with a Orianna that can just pull him back off of him, that can shield up carries and protect essentially the jungler. This game, it's the Maokai protecting the Azir and the Caitlyn and the Ashe, which is a bit different as the shockwave is going to land onto Carrier, who's forced to flash away. The TP fight coming in as 369 gets on the backside as Gumayushi just gets popped. The Cassante stepping forward alongside the Vi, but that's going to be Zeus picking off Knavi. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade in the end as both junglers have fallen off the rift. Now JDG stand upon T1. They've got the aggression. They could honestly turn to the Baron here. Sure, they don't have smite on either side, but the rend, it equates to a smite. It does about 900, 1000 damage, you name it. It does a lot with these stacks being put into this Baron. It's being taken below half HP. It's going to force the TP out from T1. That's going to be Faker joining up with the team with the Nash's Tooth. Will we see the Ren come through? Yes, we will. And now, how do JDG escape? They're being ran down by the Sand Soldiers as Ruler. He just has to flash away as Faker. He over chases. This Senna is alive and kicking, keeping her team alive. The ace in the hole. Bullet goes to the fountain. And T1, they lose out on Baron as JDG. They find the fight they need here in the mid lane. Like it or not, the aim of the game is to burst out the Maokai. Kill the jungler, win a prize. Face Call used effectively there to pull the center out from the Maokai grasp. And then it's just an easy burst out of the Caitlyn. All of T1 not able to peel for Guma means that JDG pick up an easy kill. Then it's a weird situation where the junglers go aggressive onto each other and just die. Here, just look at the orb. It zones away Zeus, which means that it allows for Knight and for Ruler to kind of escape. Faker does work with the Sand Soldiers, and while he's hunting for Ruler, he just dives headfirst into all of JDG, who just immediately turn onto him. And he realizes he has messed up completely because he wasn't able to pick up a kill there. T1 kind of throw away this game as it stands. They had firm control of these Drakes, but JDG, they fought back and have started to surmount more control onto the Rift. It's here in game number 2. JDG, what can they do to keep the pressure on T1? Simply put, rotate to the bot side of the map. T1 do have fairly decent wave clear. The Ashe, with the threaded volley, just able to do little trickles of damage on a 2-second cooldown. And with the Caitlyn there, with the extra range and the Azir, it's going to be quite hard for JDG to put any real form of pressure onto the base of T1. Meanwhile, Zeus, free pushing in the bot side. Objective bounties are on the Rift for T1, and they probably would like a couple of them at this stage, considering how far behind they are sitting right now. So let's take stock of how the map is shaping up. JDG have the Baron in their inventory. They've tied up the Drake score, and they're going to be looking to continue to push into T1's base. Now, looking at the Rift, there's only one remaining tier 2 tower, and that is the top one that JDG realistically will be hunting for as Kanave and Knight path up here. They're bringing 4 members, maybe 5 if 369 feels like TPing up. But they're looking to secure this objective, as one objective bounty goes over to T1. There's a bit of gold back into their back pocket, but JDG, they do enough work here. They force T1 back, and realistically speaking, continue to amount pressure. This is the issue though, is T1 honestly happy to let this go a little bit longer. Apart from the Senna, I'd say the scaling favors T1. The Kalista, once she hits the Hurricane, realistically doesn't get any more powerful, as she just has to rely on the Ren stacks and the attack speed to get as many of them in as possible to her targets. That's kind of the expected outcome in terms of fights if Kalista remains untouched. But looking at items, there's no Mikhails. She does have a cleanse. If T1 land a good arrow, then twisted advance, if she cleanses incorrectly, she will get jumped on and bursted out by T1, you have to feel. And that is kind of a hard thing to deal with. As Knaave goes over the wall. JDG continuing to apply pressure in this top lane. They're forcing T1 into an awkward situation. There's realistically no vision on the map for the LCK second seed. The only place they've really got it is in the bottom half. And it's only one ward. The rest of the wards are zombie ward, it appears, for T1. Who have to constantly clear out the jungle. And they're not really able to get their own vision down. What this means is JDG continue to have their way with T1. The waves just are going to be cleared off back and forth for the next couple of minutes. In fact, probably not even that. Maybe 30 seconds for this Baron. Maybe a minute for this second. Well, this third Drake for either side. But I'm just waiting. Watching for an arrow to just be fired out. Keep your eyes on Carrier. He must be accurate and vigilant with his arrow shots. As the Hawk shot fired out, Baron is on the rift. No vision for T1 of the objective. And so, there goes the arrow, going to be dodged. JDG just sidestepped the big Enchanted Crystal arrow. Obviously, is on a short cooldown. It's about 40 seconds. With the Drake up in, well, 15, it's not going to be initially available for T1. So, how will they execute this fight as a flash comes forward from Knaave? He gets onto Faker as Missing shoots him down with the Dawning Shadow. 369 TP's in. He's looking to fight off Zeus as that's actually somehow going to be Knaave bursted and deleted. Flash from Gumayusi to avoid the shockwave as the Ace Hole is used to peel for himself. Flash for Ghost Owner as the kill trade's coming through. Gumayusi, he kills off the bot laner, but it's just 369 and this goddamn Senna to execute off all of T1. That's going to be the full team ace as JDG enter the base of T1. That was a clean fight. All that needs to be said is JDG, the flash forward from Knaave, got onto Faker before he could use any ability to escape. I'm pretty sure he was only able to flash, but even then, he was pretty much dead. That Dawning Shadow perfectly timed to get the kill as well. We said about Senna having good scaling, but bear in mind, this is just a support that's just able to do so much damage. I'm just watching to see if Carrier fires out a miracle arrow here. In fact, I don't think he will. Just going to let that fall. T1 rushing to the bottom side of the rift. They see this Infernal Drake could become theirs, but TP's being invested by JDG. They have the Baron. They're looking to push into the base. T1 forced to reset, forced to rotate to the top half of the map. As Knight and 369 forcing, tanking the arrow is going to be the Cassante, who just dashes away. T1, they defend their base here, but for how much longer? The Baron minions crashing into this tower, the cannon doing work. 1 and a 2. The third shot should kill this tower. And now T1, without any towers in their base other than the next towers, Missing takes a massive chunk from this Caitlyn. And we're just waiting, watching for an engage coming out from JDG. Keep your eyes on the Vi. She has her ulti ready and available. Probably will be hunting onto Faker, Guma, or Carrier. One of these big targets will be jumped upon as the Enchanted Crystal Arrow used once again hits up Knaave, but it does so little damage as T1. We've kind of forced JDG into an awkward position to force them to retreat back towards this Drake. As the push is just halted, only one inhibitor tower remains on the map. The bot side probably is where we're going to see JDG end up, as just the Callista and the Vi kill off this tower. More and more stacks picked up by the Senna. 128. That is a huge amount of damage that she's gained, as well as range. She is literally 12 off of this next upgrade, as T1 are on the back foot. Look at where JDG are. They're dashing forward. They're looking to pick off some unsuspecting T1 member. Faker could be jumped on. He is kind of out of position, isolated from the rest of his team. But JDG, they're playing this smart. They're using the cannon to just hit this tower. The Baron doing its job, providing so much safety to the siege. As in fact, Knave, he just pathed to the top side. The Nexus tower is falling. JDG are winning without fighting. They could quite honestly do work here, as the entire crystal arrow goes wide yet again. Ace in the hole, fired out, missing, chunked. T1, they're using their ultis, but they're not finding too much impact, as this Senna just can heal up with her Dawning Light. As T1, they're stepping aggressive. 369 forced to use his unstoppable ability. T1 chasing. Nature's Grass thrown out, but 369, he's a bulky boy. He takes very little damage. It means that he's able to just get away. T1 stop the push. They deny the Baron from killing the Nexus. They get to buy a bit more time to scale up, get some big items. GA unlocked for Owner. It means, sorry, for Zeus, he's able to survive a bit more in that backside if he gets onto it. But Stopwatch for Knight is the response. So it's a battle of wits. The Stopwatch items are very impactful. And T1 need to get the right fight. They need to kill Missing and Ruler if they want a chance at winning this game. They need a massive ulti out from Faker as well. But will they be able to get it? We realistically are looking at a weird sort of build here. I'm just looking at the builds right now. Because this is a fairly bulky Ashe. No mythic in the inventory. You realistically expect like an Radiant Virtue, but she hasn't got it just yet. As Dawning Shadow fired across all of T1, taken quite low, knocked into the air, goes this Aatrox, who's forced to pop his GA. Stopwatch used that as a flash out from Gumayusi, but it is not able to keep him alive. It's JDG finding the fight, executing T1 in their base. A triple kill for 369 to end out game number 2. The series has been tied up. T1 were forced onto the back foot fairly early on in that game. It wasn't really back and forth comparative to the previous game. It was just a clear dominant result out from JDG. Which leads us into game 3. If you give me a minute, I'll talk about game 3. I just need to do something quite quick. There we go. I'm back. Apologies, I just need to do something quickly, as I said. As if by magic. Come on. Boom. Hi. I changed clothes. So, Game 3. As you can probably see, 369 has played 3 different champions to differing success. Zeus has played 1 champion to pretty much the same result. A mass amount of kills. Aatrox seems pretty broke for now. And it's been one of them weird champions that has just grown throughout the tournament as a staple top pick. Like, it's been Rumble. Renekton was initially it. What else was there? Renekton, Rumble. Jax was the other one. And now it's just Aatrox. We're just going through a mass pool of champions that are finding success in the top lane. And here, I'm going to be honest, I don't think many people expected Aatrox to be in the pool of picks for this World Championship, because last year it got a world skin, DRX Aatrox. It in fact got a prestige world skin for... Who was it? I forget who it was that picked the Aatrox skin. Spoiler alert, I'm trying to remember who was on DRX last year. But yeah. Let's look at the rest of the draft. Rel returns for owner. He found a lot of success on that in game number 1. Azir, Kalista and Renata. That's a deadly combination. Versus a full poke bot lane. Talia, who's had probably one of the worst tournaments in this history of being a champion. I just want to see who has the worst pick. Well, oh, in the main stage, who has the worst win rate of a champion that's been played more than 3 games. I'd say Syndra. That's surprising. Syndra's dropped in terms of power. Alistar, Vi. This is a champion that amazes me that he still gets picked, considering how bad it's been. Kaiser again. It was so good in play-ins. If we just isolate it to play-ins and then bot lane, it won 50% of its games. 12 wins, 12 losses. When it gets to the main stage, it just eats crap. 36. These are the only 2 really successful. Okay. Of the champs that have got multiple plays, Xayah and then Aphelios, and then Kalista were the top 3 ADCs so far. There's still a possibility of 5 more games. But you realistically notice that there's certain champions that get locked in that, realistically speaking, just suck. So we go back in here to GOL for game 3, which we're breaking down. It's a little roller coastery. It starts off with JDG having a bit of control in game 3. I remember this because this was the game that I kind of woke up in the middle of. Like, I turned the stream on at the start of game 1, then fell back asleep in my bed, and then woke up yet again to just see this result. And or the start of this game, and I remember what they said was the early games of all the games in this series, the early game has gone in favor of T1, and then it's either swung in favor of JDG, or T1 have just continued to snowball. This was the first game that JDG had a massive lead in. Like, if we look at the 17-minute mark, which is just under the peak gold lead, they had a 2.5k gold lead that swung heavily to T1's favor. Damage, it's just Zeus doing Zeus things. The ADCs, fairly even. Support diff, jungle diff, fairly evenish in mid and top. It's just the jungle and supports having a bit of a diffy in terms of damage output. Yeah. T1 stopped farming. It appears they didn't continue to CS as hard as JDG, even though T1 won. Weird. Bot lane. Jungle is the big diff in terms of farm. Top side, still this Duskblade Aatrox build somehow finds its way. So I want to look at 17 minutes on my timeline. Soul was secured by T1. That's the swing I think people weren't really expecting here. Then there's another one here. That's where T1 just get paid a little bit and then paid a little bit more, so that they kind of skirt up. Ruler was extremely far ahead. I'm pretty sure I know which game this is as well. Yeah, it's the Faker repeating the Emperor's, well, getting the pick onto Ruler, like what happened to Faker. It's just there versus there. It's insane. But yeah, that pick was huge. Because yeah, Ruler dies because he gets scooped up into the crash down and just gets absolutely deleted. And that's just an easy follow through there, because it was still so very dominant in terms of where JDG were. They were ahead for quite a long time. T1, they just started surmounting a comeback with the shutdowns. That this fight here just led to them winning, because sure, they were ahead, but the cooldowns or the respawn timers were so high that T1 just able to push to win in a very, I wouldn't say easy fashion. This was certainly the closest of the 4 games. But yeah, let's get into the 4th game, the final game of this series. Hopefully this is good, because I do not remember this one at all. So onto the stage we go. I'm having a quick drinky before we get into the drafty. Yippee. So yesterday we talked about no team has been able to yet get a win on red side. As the BLG Weibo series, all the wins came on blue side. Weibo got lucky that they started on blue side. Here, JDG go to blue, knowing full well the record, looking to get to game 5, go silver scrapes back-to-back days. And the draft so far stays relatively the same. The biggest difference is the rel gets removed from the board. T1 now are thinking, well, Kalista was the first pick for JDG in their last time they were on blue, So let's remove that, because we obviously found success on it with it in game 3. Let's remove it. Let's not allow it onto the board. This does give prio on mid lane picks to JDG if they would like to take it. I'd honestly think about Aatrox coming through here. It's been powerful. T1 have gone towards it every single game that they can, and it's been unstoppable in some regards, as there's been no real way to keep it subdued if the game goes late. But now JDG gonna have to deal with something that T1 has prepared. Obviously, the fact that they banned the Rel allows the Jarvan to come through for Owner, and he's gonna take that pick for himself. T1 gonna pair that up with the Varus. This is gonna be a weird hot pot, to say the least, because you can obviously fire in your, I forget what it's called, but your ultimate as the Varus into the Cataclysm and get mass amounts of roots, so that as the Cataclysm walls fall, the targets will be rooted, and you're just probably, well, the targets will probably more than likely be dead before they come down. But yeah, this is kind of an interesting sort of build for T1, as Knavi locks himself a Bel'Veth, and this is a weird pick to say the least, because you need to be nimble to obviously avoid the flying dregs. But if Jarvan just chucks the Cataclysm on top of you, how do you get out? There's really no escape, as you kind of have to be either ulted and be in your ult form so that you can dash over the wall, or you're realistically stuck in a death pit. Now, a champion that isn't stuck in the death pit would be the Aatrox, which comes through. 369 taking his hand at piloting this champion. Expect the Gore Drinker build instead of the mass amounts of Dustblade builds that Zeus goes towards. Last pickup of this first phase was the Azir for Faker. Nothing really needs to be explained there. Bans now coming through. Kaiser, Ashe removed from the board. Caitlyn, it's something that I think T1 wouldn't be opposed to playing. Caitlyn support for carrier. Something with a bit of range. Bard maybe. I think Bard would work well into what JDG have. Renata as well. Renata especially into Bel'Veth is kind of strong. Ashe and Renata removed. There you go. Remove that pick. Xayah also removed from the pool, which leads me to think we may see Bard come through here, or full engage for carrier. He isn't the type of player to go towards that. He's been more so the more acute picks. I was going to say obtuse, but that's the wrong word. I mean, sure, let's throw a Yone into the Aatrox. That's a skilled matchup, to say the least. Because as it stands, Aatrox can obviously Q and match the Qs from the Yone. But distance closing, you have to give it to the Yone. Even if the Aatrox would love it if you come closer to him to hit the Q3s. But hey, it's still a strong pick. I think with what JDG have, dashing through the, or being able to match the amount of dashes the Bel'Veth has with the Fate Sealed and the Q3s from Yone, able to dash around a bit more, you kind of are able to keep Bel'Veth in check a little bit easier. Also, you're quite easily going to be able to get on top of the Ori if she isn't able to react in time, which more than likely will be an issue. But as JDG have rounded out their draft with the Zeri Yuumi, a old school / new school bot lane, to say the least. It's a known combo. It's been played since Zeri's release, but like, it doesn't see that much play anymore due to the fact enchanters fell out in the meta. As, what do you know, Bard comes through for T1. I'm not surprised. Carrier just refuses to play engage, and that is my sort of style as well. I love that. I love how he plays. But Lulu, Zeri, a strong bot lane, with the fact that there's going to be a Yone, a Jarvan, all jumping towards you, even an Azir. If you polymorph the target at the right time, chances are T1 will have a hard time getting on top of your Zeri. And the shielding that this Lulu will provide, the wild growths. Will this be T1 diving, trying to reach too far and throwing away their chances of making it to the final? They're on literally match point. They've got 2 chances to get there. But obviously, it's up to whether JDG will let them or not. Game 4 just about to happen as we are gonna get onto the Rift for this impactful game. T1 win. They're into the finals yet again. Lose, you've got one more try as bot side. We're already seeing aggression as Ruler takes a decent chunk of health. He is just going to reset. And oh boy, I see 2 of my most favorite items in the bot lane. The Cull picked up for both players. Love it. It just leads me to believe that they're just looking to farm, secure push. Zeri is known for going for this. It's a pick that obviously will scale up better than most ADCs. You're a hyper-scaling carry that will have mass amounts of damage in the late game. And I'm intrigued what build it goes. Obviously, Stormrazor's kind of taken Prio as the best what's it called, Noon Quiver item now. But you realistically are in a situation where you will be needing this Zeri to do a lot of work. With the fact that the rest of the team is going to be more than likely suppressed by what T1 want to do, I think this Zeri needs to just be a massive threat in the late game. So Ruler, obviously known, synonymous for being one of the best players in the world. He is more than capable of piloting this pick, as he's going to be dealing with a lane where, typically speaking, the Bard will be hard roaming, not really trying to stay around the Varus. So more than likely Ruler will have push secured for himself as this game goes on. T1 are going to be able to have a bit of a push in the top lane. This Yone doing work into this Aatrox early on. A full level advantage for him, in fact, is meaning that this wave will crash into this tower. 369 going to lose a couple of CS here to this one. Dion just using the Soul Unbound to harass under the tower. Deny as much CS as possible. Make it so that that looked like a -1 in the bot lane. Gumyushi not able to pick up that cannon. But hey. T1 happy and content with how topside's going. I'm looking at the junglers, they're both bot side, so Zeus will have free push for another couple of minutes if he chooses to do so. He may opt in for a recall sometime soon, as he'll get a very easy cheetah recall. That's why you pick Yone into Aatrox, because you can Soul Unbound the chains to just get out of them. It's a fairly easy combo of negation, as Carrier takes a decent chunk of damage on his health bar due to missing, just stepping forward. Top side, yet again, it's just the trades. Jungle is not really interested in fighting, as actually I say that Faker stepping forward could look to get onto Kanave. His owner just smites away this scuttle. That's going to force Kanave back into his own jungle. No double scuttle for the JDG jungle. As we take a look at the vision, Jesus. 4 vision wards set up for this Yone. Zeus is going to be pretty much on a landing strip of wards, so that essentially it's so hard for JDG to make a play onto him. He knows where you are at all times, Knave. You cannot gank me, he is thinking in his head. Unless a lane gank comes through. Then he's in a bit of a sticky situation. But even then, spot side missing. Low on mana. Force run away. Carrier just picking up a couple more of his meeps. Will not be taking low as he just denies the back yet again. This is what we like to call funny. As I think Carrier's back's going to be stopped here. Magical Jenny comes through. Ruler gives chase, but there's the bind. Just tags him up on the wall. The Ultra Shock laser does a decent chunk of damage. But Zari isn't going to be impactful in terms of damage for the early on stage of the game. He has rush boot, so he will have the extra attack speed to fire off more Qs, which means a little bit better of a time dealing with the wave push. But realistically speaking, they're just looking to farm in the bot lane. They don't really care too much about aggression onto one another just yet. But as we continue forward, JDG are starting to set up onto the map. They're looking for objectives. T1 are responding in kind as Carrier. Could get caught out here, but he is actually kind of baiting. Ave not going to fall prey to it as Missing and Ruler pathing up. T1 though, they sense the bot lane as, oh, that magical journey sucks. If that was the perfect one that went straight through that wall, JDG probably would have been forced into a fight there, because Carrier was definitely coming for him. Now, T1 gonna just continue to farm up. Owner tries his best to get in. In fact, he gets on top of Knight. Flag and Drag doing work there. But the Oriana has got a bit more movement speed. There's the flash forward from Carrier using the binding to secure a lot of damage as Faker goes over the wall to get Nebrazvide to secure a kill. T1 on the wrong side of the map as JDG continue to chase. Faker probably will fall here as 2 kills will go over to Ruler. Top side of the map, JDG's 369 getting chunked heavily under his tower. Satrox not really able to find too much on his top half of the map. He's falling behind quite considerably in terms of CS as Gumayusi and Carrier looking to engage onto Ruler. They see a 2-kill Zeri with a bounty. They really want to shut that down as watch this again. First blood just clean as you like for T1. Flag and Drag comes through. It looks like it got a bit awkward there for the Jarvan because he wasn't able to continue through with the drag, but then a nice tag there by Missing slows down Faker enough so that essentially the second kill can come through. And T1, while they pick up first blood, they give over a couple of kills to this Zeri, which is a huge downplay as topside. Face Healed used. Ruler is topside of the map, setting up for this Herald already. And while sure, T1 won't be punished that much as they're taking a full reset in the bot lane. Gumayusi going to continue to push out that bot lane. That's going to be beneficial for them. However, they have given over a Void Remora ultimate to Knave. Level 6 on this Belveth as 3v4 could be happening here. JDG in position as Ruler is here. He's ready to fight, but Faker, he's jumped on, turned onto by JDG. The polymorph comes through, but somehow Faker's still alive, still trading, but he still falls down as the Belveth secures the kill. Bot side of the map, Gumayusi gets a turret plate for himself as Knight's forced to TP to respond to that wave. But JDG they're still hovering 3 members strong in this top lane, looking for an objective, looking for plating. The herald's dropped. They see 2 members stuck on this tower. Will T1 be punished? Carrier not level 6 yet. He's actually really goddamn close. If Zeus maybe had stepped up into the wave, probably would have got Carrier level 6 before the Herald crash, but the Temper Fate was unavailable. He has got it now, but won't use it onto the ruler. That means that the bot laner of JDG is able to stay alive. Maybe not. I'm just trying to keep my eye on Zeus, because you look at a Yone player and you think he's going to go forward and go aggressive. It's missing. He gets jumped on, but that's the polymorph. It denies what Yone wants to do. And Ruler, he's forced to stick around to push this wave back out once again. But spoiler alert, Zeus will do the exact same thing. He doesn't take a far enough back. He is going to exit lane, which means Zeus can't exactly do what he's been doing. And as such, Ruler gets back to base, picks up his Storm Razor. And T1 use this opportunity to secure the Drake. Obviously with 2 members stuck in the top lane thanks to Zeus's play, it means that this objective goes over to T1, and that is a big sort of investment for them. Now, as it stands, we are starting to see a bit of a slowdown in pace. We haven't seen as many kills as what we might be expecting with these sorts of drafts, but we will eventually start to see a lot more aggression, as this is just what Bel'Veths do when they have a lead. They get to just invade, take your camps in front of your face, and you can't really do much. Jarvan, realistically speaking, just waiting to hit the Spirit Sojourn so that he can actually match the pressure that this Bel'Veth can do onto the map. The Q dashes that Bel'Veth has will be a lot less impactful when Jarvan has his own flag and drag like spam. Now, don't get me wrong, it can be obviously stopped by a W from Bel'Veth, but it isn't necessarily the easiest things to land, as you are also looking to obviously dodge out on the Azir, who is going for the Emperor's Divide most of the time when he goes forward. As, yeah, this is just Zeus playing a really aggressive Yone. That's another thing you have to be wary of, is the Yone face sealing you. What ways do you have if you're the Bel'Veth to kind of fight it? As I'm already looking at the items picked up for Knavi. I'm presuming he's going to go Stridebreaker, in fact he has. So you are going the more I want to chase you down build and slow you up so that my team, namely the Seri, can continue to run through you. But like, you are going into a full brawlish comp that T1 has, as it's going to be a TP force topside, 369. Going to pick up the wave, but he's going to be jumped on under tower. That's going to be Zeus going aggressive, forcing... Love it. I love having a tool. 1 second. And we back. Apologies for that. People don't understand that you're busy. It is what it is. Anyway. Where were we? Because I was starting to ramble. We'll go from here. Faker has picked up his Lunseko, as the graphic on the side just showed. T1 secured a bit of a push in the bot side. Obviously, Faker took a reset off of that push that he secured as top side. 369 and Zeus just trading. This is such an annoying thing that this Yone can do. The fact that the W shield negates pretty much most of that tower damage. He's just able to continue to take these aggressive trades from such a long distance that 369 can't really match it. And this is basically what the Cassante was doing in game number 2. Except for the fact that Yone isn't going past the tower. He's just farming under your tower. Now with Carrier hitting level 7, probably will start to see this Bard a little bit more active on the map with the Tempered Fate picked up. There's no Rift Herald on the map just yet, which I think T1 will look to fight. They don't want to give over another Void Remora buff to this Bel'Veth, which granted won't be really able to utilize the Void Remora as effectively as a lane Bel'Veth, which I've learned is a thing in the top side or mid lane. But here we go. Rift Herald started up. It's below 4k health. This big chunk coming through. The Bard trading into Ruler, who slowed up, and the objective goes over to JDG. The Varusult is used, and now Knave isolated in a 1v1 fight with the Jarvan, who's then the Yone comes through, jumps on top of him. The Wild Growth keeps his Bel'Veth alive. T1 now awkward position, forced to run away. You have to feel as Zeus jumped on by 369, but no one is going to fall in the end of it, and JDG, they get out with the Herald without losing anything. That is a huge benefit to them. Now, we are going to pivot probably over to the Drake pit now. 20 seconds until Cloud Drake number 1 spawns, and that's the big thing. Cloud and Chemtech at first 2 Drakes. We talked about this yesterday. Essentially, if they're the first 2 Drakes, chances are Soul's going to be very, very good. And I'm thinking we'll probably get an Ocean Drake as the Soul. But that's me putting expectations onto this game, as Carrier being Carrier, just being an aggressive Bard. Obviously, Magical Journey providing a lot of safety to this champion as a whole. It means that he just gets to play this aggressive. Now, what I will say is T1 are in a position where if they get this, as that's going to be Carrier pulling Knave under the tower. What is that Bel'Veth doing? Caught out, taken incredibly low. T1 should look to push forward. What camps can this Bel'Veth get? He's got himself these Raptors. Hopefully will pick up enough health from this objective. In fact, he gets back up to about a half of his health bar. Forced to kind of farm this mid lane as the Herald's dropped. The Void Remora going to be used to crash into this tower to buy time for the Herald to go in. The Drake was secure, but there's the Tempered Fate. The Bard doing bad things, causing flashes to be popped out from this Aatrox. And that Herald was unable to get the crash of the Fate Steel. Is going to be used there as JDG forcing to engage into this fight as a shockwave. It finds 2 big kills, and now Nave locked up on the tower. JDG, they find the kill onto the support, but T1, they find the kill onto the jungle. That's a big fight that is only beneficial to T1. Kill went over to Gumayushi, who, let's be honest, he's been kept quiet in this series. He hasn't been as impactful as some may feel. This is a weird one. As Yone gets in, he gets on top of the backline, forcing the Wild Growth onto the Lulu. But here, Knave just goes a little bit too far forward. He gets into his ult stage, and that's directly under the T1 tower. And he's forced into a bad situation as topside. Zeus could have almost been jumped on there by the entirety of JDG. Is able to scathe them off. As now T1, they're in a position where they have some semblance of control on the map. This Bel'Veth has for several times overstepped, and that could be a bit of an issue going into ensuing fights, ensuing possible plays, as you are in a situation where you need to go forward. Don't get me wrong, as this Bel'Veth to land your abilities, but at this point in the game, when there's still outer towers up on the map, you can't be going too far, and as such you are in that position where, hey, I need to kind of back myself up. I can't go too far. The fact that Lulu ult there went onto Lulu herself to kind of scathe off the Yone from continuing to firing damage onto her, that's a big thing that you would not be without. Well, you were out without. And as such, Na'Vi just didn't have a way to play there. As bot side, it's going to be the crown pop there. Knight susceptible to a possible play, however, T1 aren't going to force anything. Obviously, top side, there's going to be a trade of towers. The bot side is going to see the same fate, the tier 1 falling. JDG happy to take that one for themselves. Same story for T1. Faker, obviously prime benefactor of that one. And that's a Azir that with gold will be quite impactful for T1. As, wow, there's a shockwave, there's a ruler over the wall, and there's a dead carrier. Don't get me wrong, Bard should be playing this aggressive, trying to get the meep stacks. But like, realistically speaking, as mid lane, there's going to be a dive of the Cataclysm. Force forward, the Wild Growth also used as well. Bel'Veth force flash over the wall, but she's jumping straight into Zeus. He's just going to use the Fate Seal to lock her down. Soul Unbound, pull back, and Faker secures the kill. T1, they fight back. Sure, you may pick off our support, but once again, Knavi goes way too far forward and gets punished for it. T1, now without the jungler on the rift, they're going for this objective. JDG seem to be aware of this one happening. Stepping forward, they're now fully aware this Baron has started, but look how low it is. It's already bursted out and killed off the smite already. The big difference maker there, as no smite means no steal. T1 get out on a magical journey. JDG, this is why you don't overstep. You don't overplay your hand. T1 punish you and just collapse so goddamn effectively that it allowed for essentially this Baron to come through. Control of the game into their hands. They're behind in gold here, T1, but with this Baron, they should be looking to secure these outers. They've got the mid lane tier 1 ready to go for, but I think they're more intrigued by this Ocean Soul, which I'm pretty sure I guess was the soul without even realizing it. Anyway, Zeus, isolated away from the rest of his team, looking for a possible play. The flag and drag placed down as owner in position, goes forward, gets himself positioned on the Drake and actually secures Soul Point. He is going to be, however, locked up. The flank drag pulls him away to safety, but he's into 369's hands. On the backside, Faker gets a massive Empress fight onto missing, but T1, they're split apart. They're taken incredibly low. That's going to be all the members just dashing about this magical journey, providing so much safety as T1 are on a double kill. Faker picks up that, and that's a massive steal from T1 there, as they get the snipe at the end of it. They get themselves 3 kills. Somehow, some way, they haven't even lost any members. It looked dire as this Hullbreaker Yone on the rift is just going to be an absolute menace in side lanes with the rest of this Baron. And T1 have taken a massive goal swing in their favour. Now, I'm pretty sure JDG are in an awkward situation where in 5 minutes time, fighting for Soul, here you're kind of kicking yourself the fact that you weren't able to secure this. They had to give up so much area and control around this objective. It looks close. Owner gets taken quite low. Faker though gets onto the backside, sweeps missing up, and that Lulu really is isolated away from her team, unable to kind of shield and protect the carries as back to live. The Tempered Fate finds the Zeri in the side lanes, and she's already been chased down, taken incredibly low. TP used, but Knaave isolated, jumped on, and killed by Faker. T1 can begin their charge forward as the magical journey gets them on top of missing. That's the Fate Seal coming through. This is Lulu is incredibly low, but she scurries back to the safety of her fountain. T1 unable to get the kills, but they are continuing to push forward onto this inhibitor tower. The Baron has worn off, so they should stop their push here. But T1, they've just ballooned a lead from a deficit out of nowhere. 3k is the advantage that we see for them, and it was, for realistically the last few minutes, very JDG favored, as here Ruler just uses his dash forward, meaning when Carrier steps up, that Tempered Fate cannot be dodged, and he's dead. It's pretty much all of JDG trying to bail out their ADC, who is still unkilled. I should say he wasn't dead. But the fact is, he's 3-0-1. He is essentially JDG's gold in this game. The fact that they're able to just put so much pressure onto JDG by just punishing him inside. T1 essentially are finding massive plays out of the gifts of what JDG are giving us here. Tempered Fate into the binding on the wall. Emperor's Divide. Goodbye, Orianna. That is just the CC chain of dreams from T1, as there was no real outplay there for Knight. Carrier is on a mission. There's a reason you pick Bard into this comp. It's to A, negate the Rift Herald, and B, so you can essentially get the lockup of dreams. You deny so much area with that Bard ult that if it's placed correctly, there's no escaping your demise, and T1 know it, and their collapse is so quick and effective. The fact that Yone can be coming in from pretty much the other side of a rift with that Soul Unbound, that it's so effective. You've then got the mass amounts of dashes that this Spirosogen Arven has. You've then also got the slide and glide from the Azir, plus the long range arrows from T1. This comp is designed for mobility and just being hard to get on top of. JDG, realistically speaking, while have similar sort of effective champs in terms of dashing, they are quite weak in terms of matching the pressure on the map. Simply put, Zeri is a very close range ADC compared to the Varus and to the Bard. That she essentially is forced into these awkward positions where she has to step forward in order to put damage down. And while it has resulted in her getting 3 kills to herself, she has had to sacrifice her team members for it. And one of the players that is being punished is Knaave, as Soul is on the Rift. T1 already starting this one up. Zeus just doing it by himself. Knaave is in the area. He sees the objective started, but that dash forward forces Faker's flash. But Knaave just gets run down. The Cataclysm comes through, and this is Owner getting on top of the carries as the Shockwave gets whiffed as Ruler is on a rampage. Gumayushi trades the kills as he shuts down the enemy ADC, and now T1 are on the hunt. They're looking, they're trying to get onto missing, but they're unable to get any more. They pick off 3 members and get themselves Ocean Soul. Faker, he turns it up. He beats off the enemy jungler and just deletes him from the rift. And that allows for the easiest of secures for T1. That's going to be Ocean Soul plus a Baron. T1, I'm pretty sure I'm safe to say this, are on the victory march into JDG's base off this buff. As we watch the start here, Knavi is hunting for Faker, but when he uses his flash there, Knavi takes an awkward path. He kind of is forced into that awkward path though, as he doesn't have his empowered dashes, so he kind of has to go towards the Drake in order to secure it. Then here, Gumayusi, he looks certain to fall in the 1v2, but he stays alive, is able to just get the lethal tempo attack speed to just burst through the Zeri. And yeah, JDG realizing this game is pretty much over. T1 using this Baron, continuing to push. It's a 1-3-1 of sorts. You've kind of now got a 4-1 with the fact that Faker, Owner, and Gumayusi are in the bot lane. Never mind, Bard's still pushing. Carrier playing on his own in the mid lane. Bard doing Bard things. It's kind of how he's been all game, is just doing his own little thing. He's not even giving a care about his ADC. And yeah, T1 continuing to step forward. They're switching it up. It's still a 1-3 run, but instead of the Bard being in the mid lane as topside, World Ender can be forced out. 369 going to be without his ultimate, you have to feel, for this ensuing fight, as Knavi dashing forward. We've already seen him overstep several times in this game. Could this be it, as the Varusult goes wide? T1 though, continuing to siege. They force JDG back into their base, and they secure themselves a second inhibitor. All that remains is bot lane tier 3, as Zeus still standing, staying, hovering in this top side, being an absolute menace. JDG just being pulled across the map, across the rift, and T1, they're just destroying them as it stands. Forced to respond to all the waves across all 3 lanes, and now with super minions going to be pouring into the base, it's going to be very hard to deal with due to the fact that all the inhibitors are dead. Massive amounts of damage put down onto Knavi, forces the Shurelias out from missing. No chase down abilities left for JDG, as that's just Faker getting missing, killed off. The Fate Seal catches out Ruler, and that's a big kill as the Shockwave only lands onto Gumayusi, but he's just able to fire through all that damage. And T1, they ace JDG and take game 4, advancing to the World's Finals in a dominant series against the team that were on the Golden Road. JDG, phenomenal season, but here their path ends. T1 destroy the hopes of the LPL, as yet again another team from China falls to the LCK dynasty. This series, I'm not blaming him, but I'm saying Knavi did not look good at all here. He kind of got destroyed by T1. It's unfortunate to say it, but he looked sloppy. The Belveth he did not look comfortable on, and while I say I'm blaming him deliberately, I'm not solely blaming him, is what I'm trying to say. Obviously, comms will have been go in, or something along those lines. So he's only following his team's calls, but it did look kind of bad. It looked like he overstepped too much. And while you were obviously trying to balloon Owner into a Ruler into a lead, it didn't end up with much, as he just got beat by Gumayusi, who just stepped up when it mattered more. And with that, I'm done for today. you've got 2 more things. You've got the World's Final next Sunday, and my predictions for it on Friday or Saturday, whichever I choose. So yeah, that's going to be it for me today. I'm very tired. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's stream. Leave a like down there if you would like to. See you guys then, pretty much.